Invocation, I asked my brother Ansley here if he would take care of that for us today. So, I turn it over to my brother right there.
Ask you to shut off your cameras if you could, please. Ask you to join me in prayer. It's going to be a road that's going to be difficult for our people, but only as difficult as we make it. And my prayer is going to be for our people and for the health and wellness that will come from this for our nation. And I want us all to think of it that way as a wellness objective. We want to get well and stay well. So my prayer is going to be around that, and also for the benefit of our people. I want to pray for each and every one of our tribal members, as well as our leadership, the Gahigas, Nudahanga, and I want to pray for them because it's a tough job that they have, and I want to make that prayer that way. So I want you to all join with me in that prayer so that we can have this prayer be strong. If we pray together, we'll stay together as a family. So I want to do that. Aho kategahu, umaha gong jingam, wakpani laechwal mambli, umaha tekiacha, umaha gong jingam, good health and help for each and every one of our members. Umaha gong jingam, laechwal, all those ones that are in mourning today. The relative that will be coming home today around 4, a good relative of mine, and all the rest of the families here that will be praying for his journey home to Majauda. Pray for his journey, that he might make that journey in a quick way, that no roadblocks will be there for his spirit as he journeys home. Ask you to take care of this initiative that we're making here today for our people. We're praying for a good pathway. We're praying that we would all get along and make this initiative positive for our people. Economic development, all the wellness that can come from this for our relatives that need it. The relatives that are around us as well, not only on our lands, but around our lands, so that they can all benefit from it, that it will be helpful to all of our relatives out there. No matter what color they are, they'll come here and get that benefit of getting this help. That tribe wants to allow our families to also gain jobs. And I ask you, Creator, to take care of everything that we're praying for today. Pray for our families, pray for our loved ones. Pray for those that can't speak for themselves. Pray for our relatives that need a blessing, wherever they may be, that they might have a blessing come upon them. Maybe they're in a hospital, maybe you can take care of that for them. Maybe they need a blessing that way. Maybe our relatives are in mourning today, that they can also have a blessing of comfort. Bless our families, wherever they may be, that your spirit will be with them. Bless those ones that are here today taking on this initiative. The criticism that they'll have, the relatives that will also support them, and bless them with good health and health, that as they make this journey with us as a nation, that they can do it with a strong mind, a strong heart, that they can carry this burden with them. But not yet a burden, but also something that they carry in a positive way. I ask you to watch over those relatives that are making their journey here, that they can come here in a good way. Bless all those relations that need a blessing today. Even those relatives that cannot be here, bless them. I ask you to hear this prayer in a good way, that we can get our business done in a positive manner, that all of our relatives can benefit what we're taking upon ourselves to do. I ask you to hear this prayer that way. Yahweh,
criticism.
All right.
Your relatives.
Take a little.
Oh, thank you, brother. It's time, I'm gonna turn this over to our Attorney General, Mr. John Cartier.
Thank you,
Please,
Chairman. Thank you, Chairman. Welcome, first of all the visitors today. Really a historic day, celebrating Omaha Tribe as well as just tribal sovereignty all across the nation. Today, prepared an agenda. I want to move forward first. We'll do a brief introduction of commissioners, and just so everyone knows the format, Omaha Cannabis Commission will have 5 members. We have 4 present today. We're still going to fill in a 5th slot. And then my office, the Attorney General office, we are an ex facto non-voting member. So basically the Commission's legal counsel to help supervise and move things along. I'll start off with introduction. I'm been blessed to be the Omaha Tribal Attorney General for the last 6 months now. Been licensed attorney in the state of Nebraska since 2017, and you know, when I first joined on, I think a big reason why I was hired was just based on my experience working in the cannabis industry as well as ballot initiative process over the last several years. And you know, I view this opportunity as a culmination of my legal experience, but also advocacy work, trying to bring relief, quite frankly, to all the suffering people here in Nebraska. So it's a real honor to be here with everyone. And with that, I will turn to Jason. Would you like to introduce yourself next?
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jason Hundley. I've been working here at the Tribe and the Finance Department for a little over a year as a grant accountant. I have a bachelor's in business administration from Haskell Indian Nation University, and then I'm currently pursuing my master's in business administration with a focus in accounting at Bellevue University.
Thank you, sir. Amanda?
Yes. Hi, my name is Amanda Hollowell. I'm currently working as a registered nurse, and I'm enrolled in my Bachelor's of Science Nursing program. After that, I graduate in the summer of 2026. From there, I'll continue on with my nurse practitioner. My goal here is just to bring education of both the potential and the risks of cannabis use, and also providing the safe and healthy environment for our community.
Allison, would you like to go next?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I can't see you, but I'm hoping you can see me. Thank you for welcoming me into this opportunity, and I'm really happy to serve. My background is I have a Bachelor of Science in Zoology and a minor in International Development from undergrad, and then I have a Master's degree in Public Health. I'm currently working in the cannabis industry and have worked in the cannabis industry for the last 10 years. And have worked in multiple states, Ohio, Oregon, New Jersey, California, Washington, Nevada, and I'm excited to be on the council just to bring the past 10 years of experience sort of working in the regulatory framework in all of these different states, and also my background in public health and protecting public safety and making good policy when it comes to cannabis and safety and youth and families, and providing my experience and expertise so that the tribe can make a framework that works for the tribe. And so I'm happy to be a part of it and excited to contribute.
Thank you, Allison. Art, it's your turn.
Hello all, I'm Arthur Sigolian. I'm currently operating in the cannabis sector with respect to the controlled environment agriculture sector. I've been in the industry for about 26 years, and I've participated and supported operators and cultivators in just about every aspect of the cannabis business value chain. I currently live in Omaha, Nebraska, and I'm honored to be here to help support this initiative. Thank you.
So moving down on the agenda, and haven't had a chance to speak with the commissioners yet on officer positions, but I'll open that up if there's any preference or discussion. I think it'd be appropriate to reserve leadership positions for tribal members, so don't want to put you on the spot, Amanda and Jay's on, but if you're interested, being a chairperson, vice chairperson, or secretary, probably the most important thing today, if we can appoint a chairperson and secretary, and then we can figure out a vice chairperson later on. Does that sound okay?
Yes.
Okay. And again, if you all want to do different roles, that's totally okay. There's some responsibilities in the tribal code, but Amanda, I think you'd be a great chairwoman. And then Jason, secretary, if you're interested. Does that sound okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. So then, since I'm not a voting member, I'll tell you just kind of the procedure, though. So someone can make a motion, second, and then you as a group just vote that slate in. So if someone wants to make a motion at this time to approve Amanda as the chairwoman and then Jason as the secretary, you can do that now.
Do we do it?
Yeah, you can do that. Feel free. Yeah, it takes practice.
Motion for Amanda to be chairwoman.
Chairwoman. And then for yourself.
Yeah, for me to be secretary.
Okay, great. And then second. Okay.
I second it. Yes.
Okay, great.
I can
And then
second both of those.
second. Okay. You got a third?
Yep.
Okay, and then all in favor, say aye.
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 Great. Unanimous. Okay, congratulations. We have our first chairwoman. And under the tribal codes, there's some roles for the specific duties for those roles, and I'll coach you all through that and highlight that at a later date. The real probably meat of discussion today is certainly reviewing and discussion over our proposed rules and regulations. I know I threw like 70 plus pages at you pretty quickly. Thank you, Allison. I saw your comments on what we have so far. So I prepared just a quick bullet points of some of the top 11 points to go over. If you're okay with it, Allison, do you mind just kind of going through some of your suggestions and decision points, and maybe best to tackle it that way?
Sure, no problem. So we were looking at, do you want me to go off the agenda that you sent, or should I just kind of go through the comments I made? I don't see all of the comments I made on your agenda.
Yeah, go ahead and do your comments, and
Okay.
it doesn't look like I got the page number on here. My apologies, but feel free to do it that way.
Okay, sounds good. So I think my first comment, I'm going to read out comments I made on other people's comments. 'Cause
Sorry, Allison. Apologies. I'm jumping the agenda here. We're going to do a quick swearing in, if that's okay,
Oh, yes.
of the full
Great.
commission. Okay. Apologies. You got that, Chairman?
No.
You got that, Chairman?
Yeah, I
Swearing in?
guess
Okay.
it is. I got it.
Do we raise our right hand, stand and raise? Okay.
All at once?
Yeah, all at once.
Yeah. The old.
Yeah.
John, before we go any further, I think we should just don't
Yeah.
introduce you.
Absolutely. Before we do the oaths, Chairman Sheridan would like to introduce the full tribal council.
Welcome to our humble land, the land of the Omaha. My name is Jason Sheridan. I'm the Omaha Tribal Chairman.
Good afternoon. I'm the Omaha Nation Tribal Vice Chairman. My name is Leander Merrick. Thank you for being here to witness this historical event. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. Cheyenne Robinson, the Secretary of the Omaha Tribe. I want to congratulate you all on your appointments. I know this is a historic day for Omaha people, and we're moving forward to committing to our sovereignty, having responsible regulation and economic diversification. So really look forward to you all, and anxious for what's to come. Thank you.
Oh, good afternoon. My name is Alan Hines. I'm a tribal council member. Thank you guys for coming to our homeland here and witness this event. It's a big event coming up, and hopefully everything can move in the right direction. I hope.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jerome Hamilton, council member. Glad to see some folks here, and glad to be sitting in the seat to witness this today. Thank you.
Oh, good afternoon. My name is Dustin Lovejoy. I'm a council member on the Omaha Tribal Council, and I would like to congratulate our new cannabis commissioners. You know, we have a path ahead for you, and thinking about our membership of our Omaha people. You know, so I want to congratulate you on that, and thank you all for being in attendance today. I hope.
Just want to say good afternoon. My name is Galen Aldrich, Omaha Tribal Council member, Omaha Tribe. I want to thank the commission. It's like John mentioned, Ansley mentioned. It's going to be a tough job, you know, coming with our membership. Different opinions, but I want to thank you, John, for moving us forward in a timely fashion, and hopefully we can get this started. And you know, there's a lot I want to say regarding this cannabis, but I guess I'll save that for later if I could speak. But just want to thank everybody for being here today and witnessing, you know, what was planned years ago. I came into it, and we just kind of moved forward, and we made it happen. So hopefully some good things will happen with this business. So,
If we got a couple minutes, Allison, you can start at the top of your list, and then once we get those swearing in paperwork, we'll pause and do that.
Oh, sure. Okay, sounds good. Okay, let me just get back to that spot. All right, so I think I'll just scroll down to where there was a comment made by someone who's not actually here in the commission or anything. Maybe just there was an idea that maybe for lab testing, self-testing could be an option, but I would say I don't think this sets the tribe up for a lot of success in the bigger market. So I would recommend lab testing. I guess that was kind of my first comment on that. As you've written it, I think it's actually a good framework. Let me just scroll down a little bit. Okay, one of the things I wondered about possibly changing or eliminating from the regulations was the requirement to have registration and identification cards for what's called, cannabis agents. So for, anyone working in the industry, some states do require this, and some states don't. And I just was curious about whether this was included because maybe it's part of the state framework, and you wanted to comply or sort of align with that. In my experience, agent registration and the paperwork involved and the kind of renewal process, I would say it tends to be a big administrative burden without a lot of benefit. And so I just wanted to open that up, I guess, for some discussion. I didn't want to make a recommendation without understanding maybe why it was included or thoughts about this from the other committee members.
I'll start off. So when I was drafting this, I took a lot of ideas from different states and other tribes, and I noticed this was written in some of them. We'll do the oath now, then we'll return to that. We all got to fill this out? Okay. Yeah.
We lost audio there. Someone's talking, I can't hear.
Yeah, as a group, if that's okay? Yeah. Okay.
Does that lady have?
Yeah, we'll email you a copy of this, Allison, and then you can just raise your right hand and swear in person, and we'll fill it out. That work?
Wait, are we doing the signing in now?
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah, I'll do that right now.
audio there.
I'll talk
Okay.
a little bit louder for she can hear me. Okay.
Okay. Is it my turn? Sorry.
Oh, yeah, we'll swear in as a group.
Okay.
Okay, I'll go, and when I get to, I'll give you time to each say your names, and we'll continue on from there, okay? I, state your name. I,
Jason Hunley.
Amanda Hollowell.
Arthur Isagolian.
Allison Stockman.
Okay, now we'll go on. Do solemnly swear, together,
Do solemnly
that I
swear.
will.
Oh.
together, everybody say it together.
Solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the Omaha Tribe of Nebraska and the bylaws of the Omaha Tribe Cannabis Commission. I will faithfully and diligently carry out the Omaha Tribe Cannabis Commission's duties and will make every effort to prevent fraud or abuse of the Constitution and the Omaha Tribe Cannabis Commission. So help me, Wakanda.
Congratulations.
Okay. All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We're good. Oh, we're all good, Allison. It is a group. Yep, thank you. Yeah, so it was just best practices. If there's an easier regulatory route, I'm in favor of that. Of course, other commissioners, feel free to open discussion on that.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know everyone else's opinions. Something I've seen work really well is to include in the regulatory framework the idea that a licensee is responsible for the acts of their employees and agents. And so it's really incumbent upon the licensee to make sure that they know that anything that someone who works for them or an agent of their license does is actually going to be their full responsibility. And I think sometimes the idea of an agent card can discourage individuals who may have, just some sort of, record, maybe a criminal record of any kind from applying, and I think that's unfortunate. I think it can be any barrier, I guess, to entry to the market from anyone who might have some sort of minor infraction or, sort of a past that they've been, rehabilitated or are, sort of deemed fit to, work and be employed. I think an agent card process can discourage people from working in the industry. And so I think there definitely should be standards about, people being over 21 and, totally in support of the idea that maybe there are some disqualifying, record sort of charges that may make it not okay for someone to work in the industry. But in my experience, I've just seen agent cards be a lot of paperwork and not actually very much revenue coming into the regulatory authority, which is a legitimate reason why I think some states have that. But it tends to be a lot of paperwork to process, and then I'm a little concerned that like the revenue, if you do have any revenue coming in, wouldn't really offset the work to go through all the agent applications and renewals. So that's just my kind of initial take on it, but I'm definitely open to hearing other people's opinions and, you know, talking it through.
I agree with her. I think so.
Just make the process a little bit more
Mhm.
easier.
As long as they're working under their employee's license
Okay.
and knowing that they are ultimately held accountable for it.
I agree.
Right. I think it tends to make the industry kind of police itself, you know, because they are, it's very clear, like, it will be your fault if something happens. And so there's, you know, a sense of like, okay, we have to hire people we can trust and, you know, do good background, you know, due diligence and things like that.
Yep.
Great.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Council, since you're all here, feel free
Moving
to
on,
ask questions too.
if we don't want to discuss anywhere right now, or
Yeah, if any of these, Alice, I know you had a good comment there. If you have any model language, feel free to send that to me. But I'll rework this section and reflect, making it more flexible. What we just talked about.
okay, that's great. And the next comment I had was just, it was very minor, it's on page 22.
Can you read the section? Sorry, Allison.
Oh, sorry. Oh, section 7.20, record keeping and retention. I just wanted to add a possible addition that records could be in electronic or paper format, just to save licensees from having tons and tons of paper that they can't get rid of. It's a very minor thing. And I did want to support, going on to section 8.2, laboratory accreditation, independence and conflicts. I think it's laid out really well about a lab not having a financial interest or a revenue sharing interest or control in any cultivation, processing, or retail licensee. I think that's really good. And then I do think it's very smart to allow a lab to be non-accredited while pursuing accreditation. I've seen a lot of states start their programs without any accredited labs, but they don't have this specification that you could have a non-accredited lab that's in the process of accrediting, so they'll have testing standards, but no labs that can actually do the tests. So I think this is a good, I support the way it's, you know, the way it's written.
Just a pause on that, Allison. So with the laboratory testing, I want us to talk a little bit through what that would practically look like. So, you know, we're going to stay on the reservation. Dispensaries will be on the reservation. We're not going to try and, you know, enter into an agreement with the Nebraska government to open up a dispensary under their regulations and rules outside the reservation. I think we all agree to that. So what would testing look like with a third party? Do we send it to someone out of state? I don't know if there's going to be any testing inside the state that will be able to handle this, or maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I think that the issue you're going to run into is, I did check. It does seem like there is one lab that is currently testing and approved to do so. I don't have that in front of me right now. I think I made a note in another place, but I can send it to you after this.
Okay.
So it seems to be connected to a university. So they have some, you know, some ability to test. I think the problem that I want to work through with this group is, you know, you have this problem of like interstate transport being federally illegal, and I'm really curious about the tribe's position in that framework. So is there any way that you can have cannabis transported out of state by a tribal member to a lab in order to do testing if you don't have a lab in state? That's probably the stickiest problem I was thinking about as you guys are, you know, starting to kick this off. That's a big legal question, I guess. I wanted to talk more about.
I think our position, we are allowed to do tribal to tribal, exports and imports. The issue, though, I know that the Nebraska, especially the AG's office, is going to be very critical of everything we do. So even if we think we have a legal right or obligation, they're probably more than willing to fight that in the courts. So maybe it's just best to figure out for now a self-testing on the reservation, so at least there's some guarantee that the product is safe and it is what's on the labels, while we work out an agreement with maybe the university, but then that's under state control too to some degree.
Yeah, and I hear that. Do you have any? Can you describe what you would imagine self-testing looking like?
So depending on what direction we go, whether joint venture with another entity or ourselves, we would have to rent the equipment or purchase equipment and just do it, on our cultivation site or where we're manufacturing products, and have it, in some vertical license does this, where they self-test as part of their entire license package.
Yeah. Sorry, I did actually find the note I was looking for. There's a couple of labs because of hemp that are accredited to test cannabis, and so that's something we could talk about. There's two. There's one in Lincoln and one in Crete. It just might be something to explore. But I agree. I think in absence of any other real viable option, I think the only option you do have is self-testing. I'm concerned about relying on it too long. I want to see you get your own ability to test through an independent lab. I just think it will help your market outside of the reservation long term.
Commissioner?
Yeah, testing's definitely a necessary evil for multiple reasons, from visibility standpoint, from whoever the consumer is, and for our own efficacy, and to be compliant and responsible on what's being cultivated and manufactured. Obviously, there's a few different options on how to do this. Like it was just said previously, we either have to do that here, which means set up a lab to expedite that. It's probably, like you said, collaborate with an existing lab in the market and in the industry who knows how to do this, and maybe that's a fast track way of going about it and doing it on tribal land. As far as any labs outside of tribal land, for example in Nebraska, I'm just curious if those labs would be willing to handle and test high THC cannabis that's not necessarily falling under the Farm Bill and that whole approach. So if we can transfer, which transferring product from here to, let's say, a lab in another state, even if we are somehow allowed to do that, I think becomes probably expensive, and the time related to getting results. You usually want these things turned around as fast as possible, not be in a bottleneck, and depending on the process you put the product through by the time it makes to market, sometimes that could take too long. I mean, even in other states, the process, the testing process usually takes so long that at times you have stale product getting to the shelf. So if we have control over expediting all of this, my suggestion would be to try to figure out how to set up shop on tribal land with collaboration and consultation through an existing lab who's operating in multi-states, and then maybe have third-party verification. You know, if we want to be able to message to the outside consumer that, hey, we've gone about a process to streamline and make testing as fast as possible, so you, the consumer, get the freshest product possible. But we've also taken the extra step of bringing on, let's say, a third-party type of validator who validates our process and our testing and can take batches and do verification, so that we could message that, hey, everything we're doing here is accurate and above board. Until Nebraska as a state maybe comes around to where there's statewide testing facilities. And honestly, even if that happens, if we have this set up, then we're ahead of the game, because in my experience, testing facilities that cater to an entire large market is usually where there's a bottleneck and a slowdown and inaccuracies. And I'm not a scientist, but I know there's different methods of testing. So in a state, for example, like New York, you have 10 different tests that people are trying to do. So it's not even necessarily accurate in some senses. So if we could get the testing part figured out in-house with outside consulting of an existing lab, I think it would be evolving how everyone's doing things. And a lot of operators in other states wish they could have the freedom to have their own in-house testing and not get stuck in that bottleneck. So I think given the existing ecosystem in the state and the headaches with having to transport product outside of the state, let's say to a Colorado or a Minnesota or Missouri or whatever the nearest states are, I think it boils down to doing it here on tribal land.
So I think I just want to ask a clarifying question. When we talk about self-testing, are we still saying that the cultivator or retailer cannot test its own product? It would be some sort of lab that's kind of outside of that licensee and monitored by the tribe, the commission. I'm just still trying to.
I would say in the beginning, part of the vertical license Omaha Tribe receives comes testing. So being able to test our own product, and then at a certain date when it becomes feasible to have that third-party verification, then we do that as well, or we replace our current testing procedure. Or honestly, at that point, we might even be used by the Nebraska license holders for testing if the bottleneck exists, and we're able to figure out a workaround.
Yeah, I would think, like, for example, a company like SC Labs, that I don't know if they still exist or not, but that's one lab, for example, in other states. I would suggest we give them a testing license, and we say, hey, we're giving you a license, and you come and you set up shop here on tribal land under whatever guidelines need to be followed. And now you've basically, and maybe that lab needs to be operated by tribes people who are interested in having that job. But ultimately, you're giving a license to an existing company who knows how to set up these labs, is interested in doing them, and is interested in operating them, to come and set up, let's say, hypothetically, a business here under a license that the tribe issues them. That would fall into the conventional model, where, let's say, this is the governing body that's issuing licenses, and you're deciding that, hey, we want to issue a lab license that's outside of the operator's license. So in other states, they haven't given an operator a license to test because they kind of want to keep it independent, right, Allison?
Right.
So they said, hey, you could be a vertical license, you could do everything, you could be a retailer, producer, manufacturer, but you can't be a tester. So testing and labs have always been their own license traditionally. So if the tribe wanted to take that same approach, they would say, hey, we're issuing 2 different licenses. One is a vertical operator's license that's got retail and everything else, and we're issuing a lab license. And then the question comes, who are you issuing this lab operator's license to?
I wonder if we can utilize our Nebraska Indian Community College for something like this and have a place to house testing and participation.
That would be cool, and it would generate a revenue source probably for them. Yep.
That's where, oh, sorry.
Oh, go for it, Allison.
That's where one of the other labs is in Nebraska. Is actually at a college. It's where is it? Yeah, it's at Doan University.
Don't. Yeah.
Nebraska.
Yeah. So I don't know. There
It's in
might be
Crete.
some sort of way to like access. Like, okay, how did they do that? And could you do something similar?
I know one of the doctors that works out of there, so I can follow up and.
Yeah, that might be great. But I really support it. Sorry, I can't tell who's speaking all the time, so I apologize. But what the other council member was saying about giving it to someone like an SC Labs, they know exactly what to do. There would not be a big learning curve, right?
Okay.
It would be like, okay, this is how you do it, and it would be like a very sort of like quick, setup. Not that you are going to give it to anyone. We're talking about here, like you would have to have some sort of decision making, about who to pick. But if you have an experienced operator in the industry who's, willing to start a lab on tribal lands under, conditions of some sort of like common ownership, or a certain amount of employees have to be, from the tribe, something like that. So you're getting what you want out of it also. So anyway, I support whoever was talking before. I think that's very compelling.
Any discussion?
I like the idea of having it on reservation, just because like in the future maybe Nebraska does open it up, and then we'll be able to have that already secure, set in stone, and maybe they could come to us for testing, and then that could grow.
That would be fantastic, right?
I also like that, having the tribal members working, so that way we can create more jobs in our community, having so many tribal members that can get training and stuff.
Right.
I think that's why I like the idea of the third party lab, because if you were sort of like the first accredited available lab in the state to test, that will be a great source of income when the state gets it together to do it. If you can be the first in, I think that's a nice goal.
First mover advantage is definitely good. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we can move on, unless I don't want to cut anyone off. If other people have other thoughts.
I think we're good.
Okay. Okay. One of the things I did wonder about eliminating is data supporting stability and shelf life. I know some states do this, some states don't. I think it's more of a burden than it's helpful. I think consumers tend to buy the freshest available, and so going through a lot of hoops to prove your expiration date, I think becomes a moot point, because consumers learn they don't want a product that's 2 years old. even if there's data to support it, they want, they want what's fresh. So I had the thought of eliminating that, but again, open to other people's thoughts about it.
Yeah, my opinion would be put a package date or produce date, like you said, Allison, on certain consumables like concentrates and flour. I think once you get into maybe like edibles, like baked goods or tinctures or gummies or anything that's kind of edible. There's definitely something to consider about shelf life. I've had to do shelf life analysis tests before. Like, let's say I produced a line of beverages, and then before we could go to market, the state was requiring us to have shelf life analysis testing done, and so it was like a $1,200 test for, let's say, 3 different cans of beverages to figure out what their shelf life is. I definitely don't think you need to do it for every product. I think if something is perishable or is an edible product, then it's something to be considered. And the only issue here now with that would be, where do you send that, right? In a lot of states where it's let's say there, it's a statewide practice. It's a lot easier to find labs that are willing to test cannabis infused products like beverages and edibles. But I think in Nebraska we would again probably hit a wall when we go to, like, let's say a food lab and ask them to test it, and I'll yield to John on this, but I'm assuming we probably violate some federal laws once we decide, hey, we want to take this and ship it to another state for testing. So I think that's some things we need to figure out and consider.
That's a good call out. I didn't think about availability of testing either, but that's a good call out.
I think a lot could be done through the college here, depending on their capabilities. If they whatever the science center, pardon my ignorance, looks like, whatever their capabilities are, or depending on how much interest there is there to say, hey, again, let's figure out what it takes for us to be able to do our own shelf life testing and product testing. College might be an interesting angle, John, on some of this stuff.
Yeah, I like that idea. Okay.
So born on date for all products, but I think we probably need to dig deeper on if we're producing edibles, and depending on what those edibles are. If they're gummies and they're just a simple gummy, well, we know simple gummy shelf life based on what a conventional gummy is off of candy off of the shelf. That's kind of easy. It all depends on what the range of products wind up being that we need to consider spoilage. If someone's making cookies, or if someone's infusing sea moss, or if someone's manufacturing olive oil syringes that are infused, those things you start having to kind of gauge what shelf life's going to be and do some testing.
Yeah.
We can always also send a non-infused product to a lab. I'm thinking outside the box. So let's say we're going to bake a cookie and sell it. Well, we could bake that cookie, send it to the outside lab, have them analyze the non-infused, and then get an opinion from them on, hey, does infusing this tested product that you just analyzed with cannabis make any difference on its shelf life, and maybe that lab will give us a professional analysis and say, no, you guys are fine. And then we've solved that problem if we could get away with it that
That's a
way.
good point.
Yeah, and I have to say, I actually like the way this is written because it doesn't say you have to establish supporting data by getting a test from an independent lab. It doesn't say that you have to, you know, go to a, you know, or comply with like a food safety law. It just says you have to establish supporting data. And so I do think it leaves it open in a good way at the moment for a manufacturer to have to, they have to supply some data, whether that's like internal research, whether it's, you know, getting a third party opinion or doing any of these things we've talked about. I think at the moment, I think it's written open-ended enough that a manufacturer could compile some data, whether it's, you know, through their like own, you know, quality assurance or, you know, through a third party.
Yes.
So I actually feel like it's probably written in the right way at this juncture. I don't know what everyone else's opinions are about that, but.
Yeah, I can tweak it just so it's clear it's applying to perishables and maybe give a definition what that looks like.
Sounds good. I can move on kind of to my next comment if everyone's
Perfect.
okay. It's okay?
Yep.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Did someone say
Oh,
something?
yeah, you're good, Allison. Go for it.
Okay. The next section I had kind of a question for the group about was about section 9.10, secondary/display packaging and sampling. I think one of the big things that is a problem in a few states that I've worked in are what's called trade samples. So like, how do you get samples of your product to another licensee, or even how do you allow people within your own license to be able, like employees, to be able to try product, to be able to, you know, educate themselves about the things that are being sold at, you know, at their own dispensary, or for, you know, people from, you know, kind of like your sales team to try them and to be able to actually, you know, talk about the products in a way that they've, you know, personally, you know, tried or consumed. And so having some way of you know, making sure that's compliant and isn't against any of these rules, I think is really important. And so I was thinking about tweaks to that language when it says any trade samples to other licensees. I was wondering if we might consider adding something like, you know, to other licensees or to, you know, employees of the license. And kind of wondering about everyone's thoughts on that, whether you feel the need to add, you know, limits to how many trade samples can be given in a month, or any other kinds of restrictions. I'm kind of in favor of no restrictions. I don't think the cannabis business ever goes into business to just give tons and tons of product to its own employees. I don't think that's good business. But I am curious about other people's thoughts on that.
I agree with the no restrictions because ultimately the tenders are going to be the one doing our selling for us. They need to sample the packages themselves in order to have a selling point to our customers.
Yeah, and they could like recommend products or just like let people know what type of things they do, what they can help with, stuff like that.
Can let them know more about the product.
Yeah, I'm for no restrictions. Just I think in other jurisdictions where I've had to deal with this, it's been more around tracking of the product, and I think that's just good business. But otherwise, no limits.
Okay.
I think that's wise. Okay, I think the next comment I had was just, Yeah, I was curious about, so eligibility and definition, section 11.2. There's 4 ways in which, so maybe we're down in the medical program now. Is that okay?
Yep, perfect.
Or do you want to discuss about? Okay. I like less barriers to the medical market than more. I think there's 4 ways currently. You could be a qualified patient, a caregiver, a recommendation, or a reciprocity patient. I think those are all really good. I just wanted to add a qualified patient, an individual who attests to holding a current recommendation from a licensed healthcare practitioner authorizing medical cannabis use. I just want to add, and it seems clear that it's true and detailed lower down, but that a qualifying patient with an attestation only has to be 21 years or older. I just kind of want to put that safeguard against minors, coming in and just being able to say, like, I have a medical card.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I saw that comment, and yeah, this is a good one to pause on. So, the tension is, one end, do we want to have a registry of patients, keep that information, or do we want to allow adults who are 21 years of age or older to make that, conscious decision? I'm buying this product, I'm authorized to do so at my own risk. I don't know if our job is to necessarily police that first part, but as long as, they come with the license, they're 21, and they verify either they have that attestation or they're a caregiver, I think that's where our inquiry should end. But I wrote this to be, more open for us, as a tribe, for the benefits without having that private, sensitive medical information to worry about.
I think that would, having that information would put us at liability. So I think covering their disclosing their diagnoses and stuff wouldn't be appropriate.
And I think, no matter what, like, we provide resources for folks to say, look, this is a good place to go if you want, get the recommendation. If you don't have one yet, make sure every dispensary has that posted, like, you're coming here, you're purchasing this at your own risk if you leave the reservation. Just making it very clear for consumers who are non-tribal. But, the big contrast between what we're trying to do here in the Nebraska Cannabis Commission is we actually want people to have access to this medicine and to be able to use products that folks actually regularly engage with. So I think this strikes a nice balance of public safety and being mindful of, like, what businesses are actually able to do here.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
Excellent.
I also like this, there was this, I'm trying to figure out where it is, but if a caregiver is purchasing for someone under 21, some sort of guardianship or some relationship. I don't want to make it too onerous, but I guess I'm a little concerned about, a friend of someone who's 19 who happens to be 21, just, being like, I can purchase for this, kid who's a little bit too young, so I like the idea of having, you do have something in section 11.6, a caregiver shall complete a caregiver attestation identifying the patient and certifying agency / guardianship where applicable. I think it would be a good idea to do that.
Okay.
And maybe having something a little stronger than where applicable for that. I'm gonna tag this as we're talking, just to kind of give a second look, maybe. Just wondering if it needs to be a little bit stricter, but open to discussion on that for sure.
I just know cannabis never killed anyone, so I definitely like the idea of someone, especially a parent or guardian, being able to buy. I'm not so much worried about the 18-year-old, or I am. I'm worried about the 18 and 19-year-old also, because they tend to use and want to use for different reasons. But I'm also curious about how do we allow a parent who has, let's say, a young kid who needs this medicine that can't get it, right now in Nebraska. How can at least as far as our rules go, on our tribal rules go, they can come and they could buy and administer if they so choose. I think that's something there. Other than that, I think it's a really, hey, these are the rules, these are the laws off of the tribal land. So if you violate rules off of the tribal land and you get caught with product that you purchased on tribal land, you're kind of you're on your own, If,
Yeah, that does seem important.
I think that disclaimer maybe needs to be there. However, it should be displayed. Just so we're I guess covering our bases and being good stewards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that on your consumption thing, just like you said on the age thing, quality, but anything under that, should they have like a doctor prescription for that?
For 21 and younger?
Under,
Yes.
21 under.
Yes. So that, we rewrote our criminal code, but it's still illegal to procure for under 21, essentially. Same thing with Nebraska. So if you're coming and purchasing product, you better have that patient's recommendation ready to get yourself out of jail. If it comes to that. So, and this was written in because I had a lot of parents call me over the last couple months asking, we're not going to be able to get this medicine in Nebraska anytime soon. Are you guys still going to, are you going to look out for us, essentially? And, this was a way for us to step up and make sure, specifically children with the awful seizures still have access to medicine. So, yeah, they'll have to have, being able to sign something, or it's probably going to be printed on their receipt for one, under that specific code, that you're purchasing this for a minor, and you have the documentation to back it up. And I think under the Nebraska rules, you can be a caregiver for multiple people. So it might be a system where we have certain licensed caregivers set up who we know and we verified, who come and purchase the product and then deliver it, as needed throughout the state.
Okay, my other question was going back on your guys' testing thing on the companies that you're gonna get to test but I like that one where she mentioned that we can have our own, Does that gotta be like a actual PhD doctor or a lab tech that are certified lab technician to do those things? And then do we have those as a tribe here? Do we have those people here on the reservation already? And then if we do, then why can't we go to a cannabis laboratory person that already tests us and then get some pinpoints from them, okay? So that we can bring them back and then share them with our people that already have that knowledge of testing things, testing blood, testing different, everything that they test. So then, even when he said about the edibles too, like that, And then my other question is, are we just gonna keep the level of the THC at a certain, specific level at like 0.9% or whatever? Or are we going to fight for the highest level of the THC of the product that we're going to sell? Flower, extract, different products, even the oil that we know that we have land over here in Iowa, that over there in Iowa is legal to sell cannabis oil. And then just like you said about those kids having those seizures and stuff, that's the stuff right there. That cannabis oil, that's what they go for. They give it to those kids. And I seen it done. I watched videos on it, and then that's what I wanted to bring up is that if we have all that for our people here already, can't we already start to form to get those tested? You know, get those things tested so that, just like you said, start up that laboratory, start up that dispensary, get them products here, then get them tested right away. You know, so that we know that we can move forward. You know, and I know there's a lot of hoops. You know, there's a lot of regulations that we have to go through before we even try to, you know, plant a seed. You know, there's probably air quality things that you have to go through to get all those things, you know, transformed to, you know, get a greenhouse going, all that, like that. You know? So I just wanted to, that's what was my little info on all that, what you guys were talking about the test part, like that, you know. So that's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, no, thank you for your comments. I think what we discussed was setting up that third-party testing that will ideally be tribal-led, you know, tribal member-led. So, you know, I'm going to do a little homework to see if we have any of that capability right now on the reservation. But if we don't, then we'll probably have to engage with a lab outside, probably the state, to come in and bring the machinery and the know-how how to do it, and get that set up alongside the tribe's vertical license. And no, as of right now, no THC limits written in anywhere. Yeah, but that'll all be, you know, on the product information, and that's part of, you know, if you go to a legal state and you spend time with a bud tender, they're very knowledgeable. They'll tell you, like, this is a ton of THC, not a lot of CBD. You're not really going to get too much of the medical benefits, or, you know, here's the other flip, because there's all kinds of different THC molecules other than just CBD and Delta-9, and depending on even what the terpenes are, the flower, you get different medical benefits. So having someone walk you through that's knowledgeable, I think, is a huge part of the industry and some really valuable jobs for tribal members.
Yeah, I mean, that's where the loophole kind of is in the Farm Bill now. I mean, there's all these dispensaries already in the state that are selling THCA tested product, right? We're taking a different approach, obviously, which I'm all for.
I did see that you are planning to set a THC limit for edibles.
Oh, was that, do you have the section for that one by chance?
Yeah, that's section 18.4. Is that something we want to talk about, or?
Probably a good idea.
Yeah, we can talk about that now. Jump ahead to it.
Okay. Yeah, what are
Oh, I got it.
thoughts about that?
So that's the THC limit per serving or per gummy, right? So we have the ability as a commission, if we want to say you can't have a total package over 1,000 milligrams, or each gummy has to be under a certain amount. Like, we have that power reserved to us if we want to go down that route. And I know, you know, a lot of states do that. I think some tribal nations do as well. Personally, and I'm not a voting member, but, you know, my opinion is, like, for these things, I prefer the market to decide. So if they do want to sell high THC gummies or packaging, you know, they're going to charge a lot more, obviously, but usually that's a better bang for your buck for the consumer versus just limiting everything to 100 milligrams, which for some people, you know, honestly, that's not enough for what they're dealing with. But that's just my comments.
I just put a comment in the draft just to say in this, it says the commission shall set a standard for serving THC limit. I just suggested maybe we change it to
May.
from shall to may.
Yeah, I like that.
It should may set a standard for serving THC limit.
I like that.
I think we should pay some mind to THC, not necessarily limit, but concentrations on edibles. To put it lightly, it's again, no one's died from it, but it is a different ride, so to speak, depending on how you consume these products. And you could be an avid cannabis user and not necessarily one who eats cannabis, and 100 milligrams would pretty much give you a space shuttle ride that you may have not bargained for. And let's say if you're doing like a 100 milligram gummy, the chances of, let's say a gummy falls into the wrong hands. If it's a 5 or 10 milligram gummy, the chances of it having like a really adverse reaction to is a lot less than, let's say, a 100 milligram gummy falling into the wrong hands, whether it's an elderly who doesn't know what they're taking, or whether it's a kid who doesn't know what they're taking by accident. Accidents happen. So I know in Colorado, there's like when you go into a dispensary, there's a section of the dispensary that's cornered off only for medical patients who are over 21. And when they go into that section, they're able to buy higher limit edibles, because some people suffering from certain diseases definitely need a higher dose, and they've been conditioned to accept that higher dose. But yeah, to John's point, easy way to do that is regulate what the total package amount is, and then have it be in different doses in that package.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I think that just leads a really good segue to, I think, my last comment is about section 12.15, public education harm reduction. And I know we have a lot of qualified people actually on board in terms of like experience in this field and also experience in the medical field, but I feel like consumer education on impairment risks and safe storage, youth prevention, secondhand exposure is like a really big deal, very important. And I even suggested in my comments adding some warning or education about cannabis CHS, cannabis hyperemesis syndrome, which is like a digestive disorder that has started to become a big deal among youth, especially over consuming cannabis, and even cannabis-induced psychosis. I think the thing that is hard, maybe, and I think some of it's a generational thing, is like, you know, I really support, as you know, I mean, I've been in the cannabis industry for a long time, and support access and safe use, but I think it's hard to describe, I think, to people how much stronger cannabis and cannabis products are now versus like in the 60s and 70s and 80s. It could just be a totally different, as the previous commissioner was describing, a totally different ride, and a lot of unintentional dosage issues. People taking too much, not really understanding, you know, how much THC they're actually consuming, and that there are actual real health risks of doing so. So yeah, I want to hear other people's thoughts on this too.
I liked his idea of having the medical section, so that way they have access to higher milligrams. I think they definitely need it a little bit more. Maybe doing a lower dosage for recreational.
In terms of public education, though.
Public education.
And harm, just like making sure retailers have probably pamphlets, posters, certain language, all those things. Be very interesting.
And in here, we talked about how we're just doing plain labeling too, right? So we're not advertising anything that looks like candy, things like that. I like that too.
I like also this, in 12.15, there's letter B says the commission may require periodic community education campaigns in partnership with tribal health services. I like that, and I also wonder if there could be a component, like a financial component, which some sort of fee or tax that, you know, provides some money towards that. I don't know if Tribal Health Services needs money for a special cannabis education campaign for youth, but it could be something to add. I would say, you know, warnings on cannabis packaging are things that adults will read, but I think mostly kids ignore them, especially youth. And so some other sort of way of educating youth about, like, hey, you know, here are things you really need to be aware of when you're consuming cannabis, and not, you know, not scare tactics, because those don't work either, but like meaningful education to really, you know, promote safe use.
So this is a good segue as well. So there'll be about 3 buckets of money. 1, income from the vertical license for the tribe. 2, tax going to the tax commission. And then 3, if we want to set up like fees for applications or, you know, the other ways other commissions in other states kind of generate money. And, you know, we'll probably be working both with council and the tax commission. I would recommend probably initial tax around 9%. I think in the codes authorize up to 15%. But making sure a certain percentage of tax collected or revenue coming into the tribe through a vertical license is set aside for the education, addiction resources specifically. So that's probably a broader conversation we'll want to have, you know, continue with the council, make sure they're comfortable with like revenue split that way.
Makes sense.
And did you have anything else identified, Allison? It said maybe that was your last comment, or?
No, I think that was my last comment.
Yeah, actually, I got through that pretty good. So what I'll do, and I'll pause. Did you have anything you wanted to talk? Oh yeah, sorry, Allison. Yeah.
One more comment. I'm sorry. I just wanted to make sure there's a section 14.7 about sponsorship events and brand activations, and it's about licensees sponsoring 21 plus events. On-site consumption at sponsored events requires a separate event authorization under the commission event rules. My only comment was like, I just wanted to make sure this is not interfering with any like traditional tribal events where this might already be a practice and is going to make these sorts of events more regulated or more difficult than the tribe wants or is anticipating. That's my only thought.
No, that's a good point. I'm not aware of any would conflict right now, but I'll do a little bit more digging and see if council has any specific comment on that as well.
Okay.
A lot of our ceremonies specifically limited to tobacco and peyote.
Okay. Just making sure it wasn't, you know, part of the ceremonies that might all of a sudden be like, wait, this is not what we want to have happening.
Yeah, no, good. Identify. Excellent. Did you have any other points we want to identify right now?
I didn't.
Okay.
Not today. I want to scrub this in greater detail.
Great.
And
Okay. So I'll go through what we discussed today, make some proposed edits, send this back out to the group, and then as we're going, this is definitely a living, breathing document, so feel free to keep coming through and bringing suggestions. And then, you know, ideally our next scheduled meeting, we can do approval of these rules and regulations subject to maybe a couple more edits. And if we're ready to move on to the next agenda item, we can do that now. Okay, great. So, and we can open up a discussion about this. I thought it would be appropriate to move forward on what the code requirements are, and essentially, you know, we're allowing 1 vertical license to the tribe to move forward. These will be subject, obviously, to our published rules and regulations, but just so the tribe is able to start working towards agreements, equity, you know, funding, while we're hashing this out. I know council and well as tribe would appreciate that. Is there any objection from the commission to doing that?
No.
Not at all.
Okay. Okay, and then same process, motion, second, and then all in favor. So it'd be, I motion to award Omaha Tribe the sole license as required by the code.
I motion for the sole license for the Omaha Tribe Board.
I'll second.
I think,
All in favor?
All in favor? Yep.
I,
Yes.
Yes.
That's a big deal. Oh. Next agenda item, any remaining items from commissioners? Otherwise, we'll open up to public comment and questions from attendees.
I'm good. Nothing.
Good, okay. Open to the public now. Any questions, comments, concerns? Feel free.
What about off and on? Off and on for reservation members being included?
Yes, so anyone who's satisfies like our requirements will be able to come on the reservation and purchase product. And then based on the Nebraska rules, right now it's written, if you have a patient recommendation, you can possess up to 5 ounces of cannabis product. So that gives protection to tribal members, non-tribal members who live off the reservation. Now, I'm going to put an asterisk next to that because, the state, I don't know how much they're going to try and fight against us and require litigation for that point. But, my understanding as an attorney who's worked on the ballot initiative process, that is what we work so hard. And Krista Eggers is here and who can state that as well. What we fought through blood, sweat, and tears to put in the Nebraska statute to give people protection.
That makes sense.
What was that again about here in Nebraska, you can carry how much?
5 ounces of cannabis product.
If you have a prescription.
Yeah, if you have that doctor's prescription recommendation, whatever you call
Where
it.
I get my prescription?
I want to pick on you, Krista.
I have a question regarding
Yeah.
that. So my name's Krista Eggers. I was a part of the ballot initiative. My name is Krista Eggers. I was involved in a ballot initiative here in Nebraska where we took before voters last November the ability for a patient to have up to 5 ounces of medical cannabis if they have a recommendation from a healthcare practitioner. That is defined of any practitioner that holds a medical license, a doctor of osteopath, a physician's assistant, or a nurse practitioner in any state. I would really like to know if at any point, you may foresee involving your medical community in providing recommendations to patients who need it, because right now, in the state of Nebraska, patients are not able to get recommendations, and that's a very, very big need for patients to then come and access your system.
So great question, and I know there's been pressure from the state to Nebraska medicine providers specifically that they can't touch this or they're going to lose their jobs. We have our health facility here in Macy, Carl T. Curtis Center. What I can do is have a conversation with our CEO and see, they have their own legal counsel, see whether that's something they'd be comfortable with moving forward and having that facilitated by some of their providers. It might be an issue because I know some of their providers are basically on loan to us from the federal government, but there could be some opportunity for physician assistants or nurse practitioners outside of that. But that is a further conversation we need to have with our health services on the reservation. But as the statute's written, Krista said, you can get that recommendation from outside the state. Now, whether or not the Nebraska state and their cannabis commission is going to fight you on that because it's not a Nebraska provider, that is yet to be seen. But again, we're talking to someone who helped write that ballot initiative and got it passed, what the intention was. Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Logan Beal. For about 10 years, me in the cannabis have seen, I used to live in Colorado and Oregon. This is my business partner, Darren Camby. He's in the Omaha Tribe. This is the reason why I'm here. It's been a battle since 2020. I moved back here from Oregon, where I got all my knowledge of the true grassroots feeling of like, this is about the plant. This is not about the end result. A lot of people, unfortunately, only care about the end result. And the reality is, this is about building up people and building up a source of like safe, accessible medicine. But that comes with like doing it by the right books. Like the big thing is I'm worried about, like when I was in Oregon, there was a big thing called aspergillus and hop latent thyroid, where like a lot of these clone factories specifically, like they don't test for that, like SC labs specifically, like a lot of these labs, they only test for molds, pathogens, but sometimes they don't want to test for that thyroid because they know potentially might be in there, and layman's terms called the Dunning virus, so like you got to recyclate those clones and stuff. And from my knowledge, how Nebraska's trying to set it up, it's only going to be, you got to buy it from their seed bank, certified seeds. You can't clone, so there's these things called pheno hunts where this is all new, so like you got to see what's going to work for new environments, different area, different scenes, so they pop a lot of different varieties. And I'm not sure, is your company the smoke or something cartel? Like, you're just on your shirt, is that like is that like a brand of yours, or just wearing
It's a brand of mine, yes, sir.
Yeah, like, are you aware of that kind of like problem? Because out in California, like Glass House is known.
I'm very aware of HLV and genetic diversification, and I wasn't aware that Nebraska is limiting, I guess, as far as the state goes, from what I heard recently, that they're going to license 4 cultivators for the entire state with a 1,200 plant or so limit.
Yeah,
and so there's a lot of holes in that. We could probably spend a whole other day on the holes in that approach, and yeah, pretty much forcing cultivators and farmers to buy genetics from a state source is problematic as far as I'm concerned, in my opinion, in so many ways. But again, I'm a cultivator, and for the plant and for diversity and open markets.
Because you don't know if like these, because it's set up to be like what they think will be viable for the medic, like the patient, and like the caregiver or whoever's procuring that medicine should have that relationship with that patient and get feedback like, is this going to be good for you or whatever. Because like there's a lot of plants out there that like people don't really know about, because unfortunately like everything's marketed towards high THC and all this stuff, and like people forget about those minor cannabinoids like CBD, THCV, all the things that are like getting bred out. And I'm worried that it's going to be slapped with only 10 varieties, limited to 10 options.
Yeah, I would propose for the commission, as far as for what's being cultivated on tribal land, to take a different approach on how plants are acquired, and leave it up to the cultivator and operator to be able to procure plants, seeds, genetics in a variety of different ways. That's obviously not how the state's doing it, but they're definitely not doing it right. But that's neither here nor there. That's not for us to decide. I think what we need to decide is what's going to be the best way to do it here, and ultimately it's to give the farmer, the cultivator, the freedom to procure genetics according to what the market wants, what their patients want and need. Yep. I agree.
That's just because I was just wondering that. And another question kind of mentioned it. When I was in Oregon, there was a big problem with a bacteria called aspergillus. I don't know if you know what that is, but in Oregon heavily they were specific on that. And in reality, like, we're probably breathing it in right now, but certain labs and certain like authorities like the OLCC, the Oregon Liquor Control, they want to like squeeze out all the different kind of opportunities. And so like I'm just wondering, like, when you guys go through testing, what exactly are you guys going to be testing? Is it just going to be THC? Are you guys testing terpenes? they're gonna be testing like the nutrients that went into like growing that, like in Colorado, they have to label all the, like you'll see like things that look like, why is this in here? But in reality, that's just like the bone meal or like the nitrogen.
I think
or whatever
testing
they
pretty
use.
much should be like is heavy metal testing,
Yeah.
pesticide testing, full cannabinoid panel testing.
Yeah.
Terpene testing is a little bit more expensive, but in my opinion, that should be left to the discretion of the producer and the manufacturer. For some products, it makes sense to have a terpene profile. For others, it may not. But there should definitely be heavy metal testing. There should be pesticide and insecticide testing. With respect to the HLV, the hops-laden viroid issue you're talking about, that's definitely something that affects live plants and pretty much destroys quality, yields. So it's definitely something for the producer to be aware of, and there's ways to test your plant stock. So as a producer, you don't want that. You don't want plants with HLV because you'll have subpar performance.
Grown all natural.
Yeah.
Natural, as much as possible.
Yes. So yeah, definitely it's all about getting a clean plant stock, and that's something we need to find ways to make available to the
It kind of leads
producer.
into what else I'm talking about. Being I used to live in Oregon, I am connected to breeders that are currently fueling recreational and medical farms. So I'm just in a position where like, I got all these seeds I can get, but got no outlet. That's why I'm trying to do whatever I can. And being I'm not native, my business partner is, I'm just seeing what are logistics of, is there a possibility to have, like the Omaha Tribe have their own nursery for when like Nebraska becomes legal to like, when new farms are like, where do we get plants, like 10,000 clones? You could just be like, we got a contract with the greenhouse, Boulder Cuts right now, and then just contract it out and boom, you got it. But that's where I'm at, and I can work toward that, working with like a hemp scene where like, you're only limited to a certain kind of variety. You can't grow THCA, limited to CBG, got tested within 0.3, work with USDA, also do personal testing. So there's a lot of hoops you gotta work with just to get like a viable CBD like product, whatever you wanna call it. So I can't get a recommendation, I can't say it's good for whatever. That's just how it is on the farm bill, so that's where I'm at. Is there any kind of logistics that you've thought about setting up a nursery to have a stock of like clean genetics and new tissue culture?
Yeah. So I can share tomorrow. Council's going to have a discussion on what direction we want to do our vertical license. That's going to be part of it. Nursery
Yeah, so
and
this
cultivation.
time, this is all new to me. Like it's all, so I don't want to be over talking or oversharing.
Yeah.
But
And one thing to mention, we didn't discuss about it, but in the rules and regs, there's a section regarding tribal micro license. So this is specifically for tribal members, not in competition with the vertical license, but to allow them to do cultivation, at their home or wherever they have it set up. We still need to hash out those rules and regs, but we want to allow, tribal members to participate, that way. And like you said, like from there you can have a cottage industry and a lot more diverse genetics based on that setup versus what we need to do for a vertical license to make it, profitable.
yeah, thank you. That answers a lot of questions.
Yeah.
My name is David Phillips. I didn't introduce myself last time. I'm Omaha, and I've been using the cannabis spiritually as a sacrament, and I've been using it as medicine, and then I just use it because it's fun. And so 40 years now. This spring will be when I first smoked my first marijuana. I didn't know what marijuana was before that, and really committed to the medicine. You know, I had my first share, my first experience with marijuana, if it's okay. I was here 40 years ago for a funeral. It might have been my brother's funeral, Truman. And I went over across the river over on 29 and tried to get back down to Kansas, where I was in a halfway house. And they said I could go, but they weren't supposed to let me go because I didn't have enough time sobriety yet. But they gave me permission to go. And so I came up, I promised I wouldn't drink. You know, so on my way back, this guy picks me up and tries to get me to drink all the way from just out down by Ottawa, all the way to Kansas City. He kept on trying to pass me beer. He was just drinking in the car, and we got to Kansas City, and we stopped at a truck stop because he was a truck driver, and he went inside the truck place and came out, and this man came out with him, and it was raining. And I was sitting there trying to think, well, what am I going to do? And I thought, well, I had enough time to get drunk that night, sober up the next day, and the third day I could clean up and nobody would know, huh? But I gave my word that I wouldn't drink, but boy, I sure wanted that beer. And so he came back out and he said, you sure you don't want a beer? And I said, or no, the other guy said, you don't want a beer. And he goes, no, I've been offering him beer all the way from Kansas, from up north, and he didn't want a beer. And he goes, well, maybe you want this. I said, well, what's that? He goes, this is Mota. I said, what's that? You know, it was Mary Jane. I still didn't know, you know. He goes, marijuana. I said, oh, I don't use that. And I said a word. But I'll take that beer after all, you know. And I reached up and I grabbed that beer, and it's cold in my hand right now. But when it got here, it was that marijuana cigarette. And I thought, well, if I was going to throw my word away, I might as well just go ahead and do it. And so I took a puff, and everything went black. And for some of us, we used the sweat lodge, you know. And it was like I was in a little place like a sweat lodge. And I was sitting there. And then there's this window, the door was there. And this little short woman come to that door, and she had this something in her hand, and she came up to me and presented it to me 4 times. And then that 4th time, she handed it to me. She says, use me, don't abuse me. And I didn't know what it was, but I found out that, come to know that that was a cola bud, you know, one of the best buds on the marijuana. And so, ever since that time, I've been, you know, I'll smoke it, and I'll say a prayer with it, and in AA, they said, you have to have a spiritual awakening. And in our traditional ways, they say, you have spiritual helpers. So that's how this medicine came to me, you know. Believe it as a female. And so, you know, she blessed me with a good life. You know, I'm sober now, this month, 41 years. So, I want to come home. I know I have some land around here somewhere. I've had some papers sent to me. It's just a little bit here, a little bit there. But if it's just a little bit, if it's this much, that's enough to put 1 marijuana plant on there, and that's what I want on my land. You know, I don't know how to make that happen, but I want to say wherever my land is on this reservation, I want marijuana growing there. You know, and I know folks who I've already gotten a bunch of seeds given to me because I was telling people that here's some seeds, you know, some good stuff, you know. And some other ones have sent me these. I've learned that they can find out that a seed can be a feminized seed, meaning that it's a female plant, and they can tell that. You know, when I was growing, we just threw seeds in there, and we plucked out the males and just left the females, and just grew it. And we did pick fine times. And so I'm all for wanting to get a license somehow. I live in Michigan, and I had a medical card for a while, but I had to give it up because they told me if I had the medical card, I couldn't have a rifle to protect myself. So I'm kind of on that there. And in Michigan, they have medical and recreational. And I said, what's the difference? And in Michigan, they said there's no difference. It's just that a tax deduction for the medical people. So having that, you get the medicine cheaper. So being a grower, caregiver, a patient, spiritually saved, I really am just so honored and proud to be here today to see this happening. Oh, you know, I'm going to be 71 here coming up pretty soon, and you know, I really didn't think this was going to happen, but you know, I want to be able to, you know, if there's a license I have to get, you know, how do I go about it, get that? I live in Michigan. We have a house. I'm ready to sell that house and try to buy something here so I can, you know, fulfill my dream, you know. So, we also run a nonprofit, you know, and ever since the beginning of this nonprofit years ago, part of the dream of that nonprofit was a cannabis plant, you know, a cannabis farm, you know, because when I went out to California, I was out there with some people, and they were growing, and their kids were there. They were helping to take the plants in and trim it up. They're these little guys, you know. So and they grew up, and they're good, healthy young people. The medicine hasn't hurt them in any way, helped them if anything. And that's what I would like to see for my tribe here, my Omaha Nation, is that, you know, the generations to come, that we're leaving them something. You know, this is really one of those points of times where 7 generations are going to look back on this day and they're going to say thank you. We love.
I wanted to offer a comment from my organization. I represent Nebraskans for Medical Marijuana. Again, we had a part in bringing forward what we hoped would be a state-regulated system that would give patients access in this state. And so I come here today carrying many of their stories, and would just like to share how we feel and what we have seen today. I commend the Omaha Tribe for taking such a bold and thoughtful steps to create a regulated medical cannabis system in a state, providing patients with safe, legal access to their medicine. The decision to form a commission made up of individuals with such diverse backgrounds in healthcare, agriculture, business, and community leadership. This is exactly how it should be. The transparent and inclusive conversations I've heard today, the listening, the dialogue, leaves us with such hope for what is coming. It appears very clear that this commission is moving forward with the intention of helping patients without putting undue burdens and restrictions that prevent them from getting access to the medicine that is best for them. And beyond improving access for patients in this state, which may be the only way patients in this state have any access, we're excited at the significant economic opportunity this is going to bring, fostering business developments and generating revenue that stays local. We're encouraged that Nebraskans outside of the tribe are going to get to be a part of this. And our organization welcomes continued conversation and dialogue about the patient perspective as you move forward. We want to ensure that those who rely on this medication are heard, have access that is safe. And as a parent who has a young son at home who needs access to this plant, I am filled with hope and gratitude as you all take on this process and this responsibility. The patients, myself, my organization are here to support you. So, thank you.
Yeah, council.
So we're kind of right down to the bottom of the agenda.
Yes, sir.
So it's nice listening to your testimony. I want to share something with you. I'm going on my second year of my term. And 2 years ago when I came into the seat, this was brought to the table. And it's a tough one because of the fact that there are tribal members that are against this. But when you talk about testimony, you just gave a testimony. And I know a lot of other testimonies that people that the only way they could cure their pain, the only way they could cure their seizures was through marijuana. And I strongly believe that Wakanda gave us the seed to use it as medicine. And so as this 2 years went by, I looked at the pros and cons of it. And today I see it as business side of it, to improve our economy. And with what's going on in this world and how we're being affected, whether it's dollars, government dollars, it's kind of like a depression we're going to be going through. And we're seeing the effects of it already. So I guess that what we're doing today is we're exercising our rights as a sovereign nation, according to that treaty. And we're going to continue moving forward, even if the state of Nebraska doesn't like it, which we have every right to do. And you know, as Native Americans, as some call us, we still deal with issues that are roadblocks that have been put in front of us hundreds of years ago. There are people that support us. There are people that don't support us. There's so much that they have hate in their heart towards us. Those are the people we pray for. We have a religion, we have a culture. But when it comes down to it, we have one God. And that's what they don't understand. We have a religion. And in my eyes, this is medicine. And same way with the other medicine we call peyote. It's the same thing. God gave us this medicine. And however we utilize it is up to us. So as of today, we are we're in poverty as a tribe, and our homes are outdated. And I got to thinking that once this is up and going and revenue comes in and we start prospering, one thing we gotta keep in mind is that, when this revenue comes in, we have to finance it wisely. There's a crisis here on the reservation, and not only on the reservation, but in the whole United States with this methamphetamine. This revenue coming in, we have to utilize the revenue to fight that man-made drug that made its way into our reservation. We're gonna use it wisely. And so I seen you get emotional, I'm the same way, but we're pitiful people, but we're rich in culture, and we'll always be that way. And we talked about the federal government dollars, how they're wiping out our programs, whether it's SNAP benefits, whether it's education dollars, law enforcement. And here we are trying to deal with that. But I made one statement, is that we're Omahas. We've been here for hundreds of years. We've been through wars and smallpox that killed a lot of our people, but we're still here today, and we'll still be here regardless for the years to come. So I wanted to make that statement. I know it's a long road ahead of us. We got to put rules and regulations in place, and let's just make sure that we put everything in place that'll won't come back and bite us in a you know what. Because I said it before, I want to be in this seat for 3 years that I can say that I honestly did something for our Omaha people. Something good, not bad. So I just wanted to make that statement. Again, I support this, and it's for the business of the Omaha Tribe, and to move forward on building our economy here, and at the same time exercising the right for sovereignty. So thank you all for listening to me.
Anybody else? Andy?
Set it off.
No, I just wanna, I guess my final thoughts are, you guys had, said kind of some, well, had some good, powerful statements, and that's what we need more of, is your testimonies. And I'm sure we have plenty of other tribal members that share that same concern and have that same passion that you and your organization have, and that's why we're here today. But this was a stepping stone in making sure that any future cannabis related activities are conducted with the highest standards of integrity, safety, and accountability, while generating opportunities that support the health, welfare, and prosperity of the Omaha people for generations to come. So this is only the beginning, and I'm very satisfied with what took place here, and I look forward to future discussions, future partnerships. We welcome general public with questions, ideas, concerns. For the most part, we are an open book when it comes to this. But I want to end with thank you guys for stepping up and taking on this role and responsibility. And as it was mentioned earlier, this is a tough job, not only for us, but not even more so for you guys. And we're going to depend on you all for the expert and as we move forward, the expert guidance as we move forward. So thank you.
Well, myself, I'd like to thank Mr. Aldridge for that little giving speech there, you know, and out there in the world, in our community, out there watching, you know, to hear and listen to what you have to say. You know, we're not trying to bring the bad in, you know. we're trying to get revenue to help our people out, you know, and it's like you said, you know, with that Trump administration going on now, you know, there's no telling what's gonna be next, you know, but me, I'm outgoing here, you know, and I hope the next ones come in, that they stay focused on this, you know, not, we don't wanna do that, you know, let's keep it going, you know, and look, don't look at the bad side of it, you know, look at the good side of it, the revenue, you know, where it could come back to helping our people out, you know, so, you know, good one, thank you.
Yeah, you know, I want to commend AG John, the commission. It's going to be a long haul, challenging, but at the same time rewarding. You know, and I know that you're going to be you're entrusted to create a strong path ahead, that, you know, those regulations, codes, everything is up to par and snuff, so that we try to break down from error and from misguidance, you know, because nothing's perfect. We're going to run into something, but I trust that you'll limit the flaws as much as possible. You know, it's a tough job, you know. So, you know, I want to commend all of you for, you know, for taking on this role and responsibility. And then to the community, the public, our membership, thank you for your comments. Thank you for your questions, your concerns, you know. Appreciate the dialogue that's been discussed here. Everything that we talked about. A lot has been said from my fellow leadership here. Some of the things that that have been decided upon when we first made this initiative was, one, bring jobs to our people. You know, revenue for our people. Housing, you know, set up infrastructure and allocation plans so that we all benefit some way, somehow. So, you know, moving forward, those are some of the things that, you know, the leadership had in mind. But I just want to say thank you again. You know, I'll take a hold.
Good afternoon, everybody. First of all, in closing here, I want to say, extend my gratitude to Mr. AG here, Mr. Cartier, for getting this on the ground for us. Otherwise, it'd be just talk. We didn't bring him in here. Like they say, talk is cheap. The road's open for us now, everybody. I want to thank you, your new appointees for the new commissioners, and thank you for accepting them and putting in your resume and want to be a part of this. We're only as good as you're going to make us. You know, I also share that with you. We don't look good if you don't look good, make us look good. And you'll have our full support. And I myself will not delve into your business. You know, I trust you guys. People are going to trust you. So thank you, you 4 or 5. And thank you too for being supportive to us. Mr. Eggers, thank you. But when we opened this, the first thing I just thought about this recently is that in my mind, we moved a little bit too slow on it. You know, each one of us up here had a member that could have used this in a medicinal way. I'll say this again, I had a brother, he ain't gay. He said that. It's an actual word. Bro, if I could just smoke up one more time. Sure, I'm in hospital, I'm going to jail now. But at that time, our intentions were, let's get him a puff. Let's get him a puff. They're going to kick him out. And he said that. They can kick me out. So we did. He said that. And I'm glad this is going to help the rest of our people who are dealing with these issues where you're in pain all day with some type of pain, arthritis, cancer, whatever's ailing you. It's another form of Monka Uda, you know. That's the best way I could say it. You know, I'm really glad this is getting off the ground for our people. And they say we're up here, we leave something for our people. You know. Now it's going to be that way for our kids. I expected, like I said, to break the eggshell and there's gold inside there. I'm expecting us to walk slowly towards it and find it. It'll be there waiting for us because we're gonna make this happen. Everything we do up here is for the people. And I want to thank you for all of you good people that came here to witness this today. Myself, I very seldom, if I wasn't here, I very seldom came in to witness these type of things. But this one right here, I thought it was just gonna be a simple 4 people and us. But we forgot that the community was coming. Thank you all for coming to witness, and thank my brother Nate for journeying all the way back from Michigan to be here to witness. This is how important this is, everybody. When for our community out there within the reservation, we came to witness this, they'd see this, you know, where this is gonna go for us. I have nothing but confidence in all of you. With that, Gategaho.
Thank you, thank you.
Is that it, John?
Third Wednesday every month, does that work?
Yeah.
Allison? Okay, cool.
So I will say in our language, Naji Tagaho.
We could at least convene.
Oh, yeah, it was, yeah.